You kind of wonder whether or not it's combat effective. Certain fighting styles, one in particular, Wing Chun Kung-Fu. And there's been a lot of talk whether or not it's combat effective in a real street fight. And I'm going to tell you my honest opinion, my real honest opinion. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. I talked about this before, but I never really got into it. And maybe I haven't gotten into it that deeply, but I may have talked about this before. I don't know. But I heard, I was debating with some people on YouTube sometimes, and also one time on Facebook with some people. And some were saying that Wing Chun Kung Fu is not really all that combat effective. That it has to be combined with other fighting styles. It has to be combined with this. Just basically using like the Jeet Kune Do type of a mindset. And then there was this other guy who said who gave his honest opinion that Wing Chun Kung Fu is and of itself will be ineffective in a real street fight, or will be ineffective in the cage. The MMA. Against an MMA fighter, unless you use that Wing Chun Kung Fu, the actual blocks and parries and of all this stuff like that, like pow, like that, and other blocks and trapping hands and stuff like that. If you were to use Wing Chun Kung Fu like that, traditionally, you'll get your ass kicked unless you train yourself for that type of specific type of fighters, knowing how they come at you like this, how they shoot in to do a body slam and get you into an armbar and all this kind of stuff like that. How to avoid all that by using Wing Chun Kung Fu by itself. You have to. This guy who makes a whole lot of sense. You have to train yourself for specifically that type of fighting, so you can be familiar with those type of fighters, the way they attack you, and the way they avoid attacks and counter attacks and stuff like that. You gotta get used to how they fight, and then if you want to use Wing Chun Kung Fu by itself, according to him, and he was giving examples, because if you go in there with a traditional Wing Chun like that, and you start doing all this stuff, like, it's not gonna work. And to me, that makes sense. I can understand that. It says unless you train yourself specifically for that type of fighting, in order to get used to the way they attack you and everything that I just said. Now, and that made a whole lot of sense. I really, really, honestly agree with that. It does make a lot of sense. Now, using some certain aspects of Wing Chun, I think it actually helps, especially for my body type, and stuff like that. It's just too bad that right now I'm in terrible shape when it comes to my breathing. I got real bad asthma, so if I even get into a fucking street fight right now, I wouldn't last not even 30 seconds. My stamina level is that bad because my asthma is that bad. I already went to the doctor because I had to get one of those fucking life alert um, things right here. I'll get it later. But I've been struggling with trying to improve my health. I stayed away from soda. I started drinking nothing but fucking bottled water most of the time. Look at this. I got all these fucking bottled waters, and I'm getting used to this now. And even though it was very, very hard, I barely lost 30 pounds. I used to be heavier than this. I barely lost 30 pounds just from cutting down on soda. That was like the main thing that was defeating the purpose of my weight loss. So it took a lot of getting used to. It took several weeks for me to get used to drinking water regularly and that kind of thing. Now back to what I was saying. I'm pretty sure that it is combat effective, regardless of any kind of like stupid crap that people have been saying. Hold on for a second. And of course, I love the origin of how Wing Chun Kung Fu started. Everybody has their own explanations of how it actually started. But if you hang on, I get it real quick. I had I actually had this for many years. This guy's still alive. Just to let you know, he has all of the stuff on Wing Chun. And the thing about it is, he talks about the origin of it, how it actually began. This is again another picture of him, of William Chun. And he talks about the history of it, the history of Wing Chun, right here. It started by a female monk, and she was one of the five grandmasters that escaped from Shaolin Temple when it was attacked by the Manchus. And she was the only female Shaolin monk that was there. She was trained in the art of the kung fu style of some kind of technique where they used what is called the Shaolin porcupine, which is a long big log like a tree, and it has sticks sticking out of it. You would hit, and then you would spin it, spin around, and you gotta block it when it comes to the other side, and you gotta toughen your arms and to improve your timing and your reflexes. It was called the 108 Wooden Men. Another TikTok message. 108 wooden men. So she became an expert in that. And then as the years went by, she developed her own fighting style. And she was the one who made the actual Wing Chun dummy. The log with the three sticks sticking out, and then like that part of the leg near the bottom. She's the one that developed that. She developed the fighting style, and she basically made up her own techniques and how to actually do the system itself. She was the first woman. She was the originator, but she didn't have a name for it at that time. And then the Shaolin Temple was attacked by the Manchus, and she escaped. And then the first student that she taught was a woman named Yim Wing Chun. If I'm gonna look at her again, but that was her name. And she taught her the Wing Chun Kung Fu system. So when she learned after so many years, she named the style after herself, Wing Chun. There was a man who wanted to marry her. He was a rich guy. He was but he was also a martial artist himself. She didn't want to marry him. He thought he can get any woman he wants, but his attitude was like, "Hey, I can get whatever I want. You're gonna marry me." And she's pretty much like saying, "Screw you." And she says, "If I beat you in a fight," she said this to him. "Look, if you beat me in a fight, I'll marry you. How's that?" He laughs his ass off. I said, "All right, I'm gonna get my ass kicked by a woman. Yeah, sure. All right." And then there was a variation that says they fought with no witnesses, which wouldn't make sense to me because in a situation like that, you need to have witnesses. So I believe the other scenario. He had two guys as witnesses. He's like, "Hey, watch me kick this girl's ass, and then she'll end up marrying me because of it. It's gonna be funny." So they pretty much, laughed it off. So I can't wait to see this. It's gonna be funny. They fight. He gets his ass kicked. She blocks and parries a lot of his punches, his attacks. She counterattacks with centerline punches, knife hand chops, kicks to the lower legs. And she was basically pretty much messed him up everywhere else and just knocked him out. She was a lot faster than him. And she conditioned her hands, which is part of the Wing Chun training, conditioning the knuckles and, for the knife hand chops as well as the punches. She knocked him out. The two witnesses got angry and of course in shock, and they attacked her. And they both got their asses kicked. So she pretty much won her freedom, and she was never bothered ever since that. And it was basically designed for women at first. It was and then right here, which shows it says here, Nig Mei, which is the monk, and Yim Wing Chun, right here. And she taught it to her husband. I don't know how to pronounce the name right, but Ling Bak Cho. And then it goes down the whole family tree line, down to Yip Man. And then William Chun, and then of course the legendary Bruce Lee, and so on. And then there was other famous legends like Francis Fong and Randy Williams. They're also very famous during the 1990s. These were the people the experts of Wing Chun Kung-Fu. And that's basically how it started with the whole history of it. And that's pretty much it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Questions or comments, you know what to do. And this is Dare to Speak. And to all of you, take care.